Hey everybody, it's Greg Harrelson here with Century 21, the Harrelson Group. Of course, you can see a familiar face over there next to me, Abe Safa, also with Century 21, the Harrelson Group, and we are just going to share some information about the real estate market. You know, we've been doing Myrtle Beach Real Estate TV for quite a while, and there's a lot going on now, and we feel like we need to make sure that we're informing the consumer, buyers and sellers, property owners all around the area of what's going on. So before we get started, Abe, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Greg. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I guess that was kind of like an understatement, huh? There's a lot going on, right? We've been on one heck of a roller coaster ride over the last couple of months. Wouldn't you agree?
No question about it. Yeah, I mean, the last time we did this broadcast, completely different market than what we're seeing right now. So we felt like, hey, it's time to get back on here and let's talk about what's really happening.
Yes, yeah, I agree 100%. And just to kind of kick it off, I mean, look, Abe and I really keep our eyes on the real estate market. Not only are we helping people buy and sell property, so we're really at the ground level. We're not just owners of companies or teams and where we're letting other people do all the work. We're actually on the ground doing the work ourselves, meeting with consumers. So we got a good finger on the pulse of what's going on in the market. But we also look at data, and if you've watched any of our previous shows, Abe always brings data to the and graphs. So obviously we look at data, and but we also pay attention to the news, and I say that with the with the understanding I like to hear what other people are hearing, but when it comes to the news, Abe and I always want to validate in our local market because we think it can be dangerous to rely on headlines because a lot of that is just to stimulate anxiety, so you'll tune in. So we like to validate, but obviously we're dealing with higher interest rates. I think right now, just about everybody with perfect credit, you'd probably be somewhere about 6%. And then if you don't have perfect credit, you'd be in the sixes. Maybe you're at 6.25, 6.5, but then they're charging a few points for those that don't have quite good credit. So it's not only an interest rate, but there's also additional fees going on. So we got that going on. You got gas prices, which do influence, markets like Myrtle Beach because a lot of people drive in. So got gas prices, inflation's worries, recession scares. Listen, we hear it all. We're paying attention. But today we really want to just kind of talk to you about what's really going on with the data in the Myrtle Beach market. And we like to start with inventory. Start with inventory because inventory is kind of like a leading indicator of what might be happening in the past. Abe, can you remember, I don't know, a year and a half ago, maybe over a year and a half ago when you were producing these charts and you were producing charts where the inventory levels were declining every week. The inventory seemed to be declining. You remember that?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what I was pulling up right now as you were talking.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm just writing down some numbers real quick.
So when the inventory was declining, what was happening to prices?
Oh, they were definitely going up.
Yeah.
So as inventory got tighter, obviously supply and demand, less options for buyers out there. And that's when we started seeing these crazy offers, multiple offers, homes selling within a matter of a couple of hours.
That's right.
Multiple offers. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, it's interesting. Like a lot of times inventory levels will influence pricing levels. Now, it's not always an exact science, and we don't like to make predictions or speculate, but that is what we saw in the past. And I think Abe's going to share with us a good bit about the inventory now. And so each one of us can make our own decisions as to whether or not this is a good time to buy, whether or not it's a good time to sell. That's kind of a personal opinion. We'll always give you our opinions, but that's something that you'll have to determine. So share what you have, Abe.
Yeah. So let me start off by saying the peak, if you go back and look at the numbers and the numbers that I'm looking at on a daily basis are how many properties are on the market. And out of those properties, how many of them are under contract with buyers? Okay, so what's the absorption rate of the properties that are out there? Mm-hmm. If we go back and look, we actually peaked for single family homes. We peaked spring of 2021. So we peaked last year. Okay, then all of a sudden, towards the end of last year, around December, middle December or so, going into January, all of a sudden we finally saw condos take off. So condos finally got to a level, and we started seeing appreciation in condos like almost as crazy as we saw with single family homes. Like there was a 3-month period where condo prices went up 40% or so, almost across the board. So a big spike in the condo market. Right. And if you look at the prices and you look at the offers that we were getting, there's a direct correlation with the inventory going down. So as inventory got tighter, less options for buyers, we started seeing buyers reach over the last comp and pay more and pay more. Now, all of a sudden, we're starting to see a pretty significant shift in the market, right? So single family homes went up first in prices, then were followed by condos. Now, when the shift began, we're actually seeing the reverse. We're seeing the condos actually go down first, followed by single family homes. So when I go back and look at those numbers again, it actually started, I can pick the exact date where we started seeing a change in direction. So April 15th is when we started seeing condo inventory grow. So we bottomed out April 15th. And ever since then, it's been growing at a very, very significant pace. Like I want to say, I didn't run that number, but I want to say 40 to 50% more inventory now than there was about 2 months ago in condos. So a significant change.
Say 40 to 50% more.
Yeah. More condo inventory. I'm sorry, let me take that back. With oceanfront condos.
Okay.
Oceanfront condos, significant change. Condos on a golf course, pretty big change, but not quite as much as oceanfront.
You know, I was just talking with another agent earlier this morning, and she said in a building, it was in Barefoot Resort. She said there's a building over there. I can't remember which building it is, and it's not like it's unique. It's a lot of buildings, but she was specifically talking to a building where that for months there was like there'd be one on the market, and then it'd go off, and then another one coming on the market. And right now there's like 15 on the market in that building. Yeah. And like, it's just amazing at how fast that happened.
It's nuts how quick. Like example, oceanfront condos. Let's talk about Landmark Resort.
Okay.
For the longest time, there'd be 1 or 2 units on the market. As soon as they hit the market, they were sold. Now there's like 20 something units in the building for sale. So I mean, what's Beach Cove, Beach Colony, a lot of buildings on the oceanfront right now, we're seeing a significant change. So when you look at the inventory right now, oceanfront condos, we're back to where we were back in April of 2021 in inventory. When it comes to overall condos, we're back to where we were in March of 2021. And when it comes down to single family homes, we're back to where we were in January of 2021. Okay, so April 15th, It started, condo inventory started going up. Then about 30 days later, we started to see single family home inventory starting to build now all of a sudden. Yeah. You know, so the interest rates are definitely impacting the market. Buyer demand is soft. I want to show you a couple of real charts that kind of show you what I'm talking about here. I think it's important to see it in a graphic format. Let me just share my screen with you real quick. So this right here, again, the 2 numbers that I told you about, right? The top line this is just condos, oceanfront condos. The top line here is total inventory in the condo market, in the oceanfront condo market. The bottom line is how many of these are actually under contract with buyers, right? So you see, this was back, I went all the way back to July of 2020. So there was a significant amount of condo inventory, and then you can see how it just kept dropping and dropping and dropping. This is where it got really hot. You see how many pendings there are. Pendings peaked about here, okay? And then there was a little bit of spike here in inventory, okay? But then look at the pendings as well. That spiked with it. So as quickly as they were hitting the market, they were going on the contract. And it got even tighter and tighter. Now in this range here, from here to about here, is when we saw the craziness. Like, I'd say February, March, beginning of April, where we were saying like ridiculous prices on condos. And then look at what happened here all of a sudden. This is about April 15th or beginning of April. Look how total units on the market's going up, but then pending is actually going the complete other direction. And look at that separation we're seeing right now. Yeah. So more inventory is growing, less of them are going on the contract, going a complete opposite direction of what we've been seeing the first 3 months of the year. So that's a significant sign that's a market shift right there. Now, will that trend continue? I mean, I don't know. There's so many variables out there. All of a sudden, we could find ourselves in a deep recession and the Fed decides to drop interest rates. It's not likely, but if this continues to happen the way it is and inventory keeps growing, I don't want to make predictions, but obviously with more inventory, we could see prices go back when it comes
Yeah,
to condo.
and so here's something that I'm paying attention to,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have hard numbers on it. But one of the challenges that I'm hearing with condo owners that rely on rental income is that their June calendar and July calendar is pretty booked,
Mm-hmm.
but their August calendar is not booked nearly as much as it was during the same time last year. And so, there's a little bit of a concern that the gas prices and inflation is might impact travel to the Myrtle Beach area. Again, I'm just saying these are the concerns. I do not predict it, but if that was the case, let's just say if fewer people start to travel to Myrtle Beach because of gas or inflation, then the rental numbers would suffer, some of the owners, and that might be the reason why we see more inventory coming on the market. Because what's interesting, Abe, is usually from a seasonality standpoint, we don't see inventory growing in June or July, right? Because owners are sitting here saying, I'm going to wait till the fall after rental season.
Right.
So we already know after rental season, a lot of condos will likely come on the market. The question becomes, will there be more this year than before because rental income might be declining? And I've had sellers call me up and say, look, I need to get rid of this. My rental income is not nearly what it was in 2021. 2021 was the best year ever. 2022, now it's actually not as good, and they're selling. So we'll see how that plays out. But I'm a little bit concerned about that.
No, absolutely. That's a great point, and definitely something to pay attention to. Then plus also the news. I know a lot of sellers I'm talking to are a little bit concerned, like, hey, I think we might have peaked, is what they're thinking, and do I want to cash out right now while the prices are still good?
Mm-hmm.
But remember how I was talking about when the market started to shift, the condos were feeling it first, and then single family homes.
Yeah.
So let me show you now what's happening with single family homes. Share that chart with you real quick. So this is a single family homes, and you can see kind of like along the same thing where inventory just dropped,
Mm-hmm.
and then this is the peak with the number of pendings, which was, as I mentioned, spring of last year. That was the hottest time out of these last 2 years. That's when we were seeing ridiculous offers. So that's when it peaked. But then it stayed relatively flat, but a good flat. It stayed really, really good. And then here, around towards the end of this year and the beginning part, the first 2 months of this year, inventory kept dropping. It got really, really low. But also the number of pendings went down too. So this was a function of there wasn't any homes on the market, so not many were going on the contract. I think that was just a function. There was no options for people.
Mm-hmm.
But now look what all of a sudden started happening in April as well. Okay, we're starting to see that same separation. It started off pretty even, but then here, inventory is going up, pendings are starting to go down.
Yeah,
not quite as drastic as the condos, but I think we're starting to feel it.
Well, they lag, right? The homes tend to lag. So the residential homes they go up the fastest and down the slowest.
Yeah.
Right. Inventory gets depleted fastest and it grows a little bit slower. Right. So for those of you that are listening, we are not predicting what's going to happen. And I know I'm saying that a lot because I want to be responsible with the language that we use, because we're not selling doom and gloom. We don't want anyone to panic. But anybody that is thinking about selling right now, they at least need to be in conversation with Abe or I, because we can give them good information that's relevant to their neighborhood, their building, or wherever they may own their land. So that's why we want to bring this to everyone's attention. But we cannot deny the data. The data says that the market is, at least from an inventory standpoint, the market is not getting hotter. It's not getting stronger if we base it on inventory. Now, Abe and I are not talking a lot about prices right now, and there's a reason why. Is we don't see a lot in price movement, and it's not natural. Price movement is not something you see before inventory movement. So it's usually an inventory movement, and then something happens in the pricing area, if it happens at all. So we're not reporting that prices are going down because we don't have enough data to be able to validate it. You'll have to form your own opinion, or it'll be speculation at this moment. If you think increasing inventory is going to impact prices, which I tend to think that. I don't think we're going to crash like we did in 2007 or 8 by any means, but it is showing signs of softening. Am I correct on that, Abe, about the prices? That's why we're not talking about it, right?
That's a great point, Greg. I'm a big believer in supply and demand. I believe that when there's more options for buyers, you're going to see lower offers. Yeah. But no, we haven't seen any change in pricing almost across the board right now. But not again, I am concerned when there's like Landmark, when you've got 24 units to choose from as a buyer, as opposed to 1 4 months ago. What you're going to see is lower offers. And if some of those sellers accept some of those lower offers, now you've got lower comps. Yes. And now what that's going to do, that's going to start bringing the prices down.
Yeah, and I've seen this before. I've seen it before, Abe. I've seen inventory grow, and then some seller will look at their return on their investment for rentals and say, you know what, it's no longer worth owning it. You know, they get an offer for $5,000 less than they were willing to take, but they say, you know what, I might as well take $5,000 less for my property, because if I keep it, I'm going to pay $20,000 in negative cash flow. So $5,000 loss is better than a $20,000 loss. So they sell it, and that resets the comp, and that influences the appraisals. That's how it works.
I do want to add one more thing, Greg, because we're talking about inventory going up. I want to kind of keep things in perspective here.
Okay.
So there's no question about it that the market is changing. Like, as you said, it's not getting hotter anymore. It's actually not even flat anymore. It's actually starting to build inventory. But when you look at the overall inventory, we're still sitting at a 1.4 month supply of inventory. So it's still extremely low.
Yes.
Right. Relative to what it was 4 years ago when we were at 5 and 6 and 7 months supply of inventory, was still very, very low.
Yes.
Okay, it's just buyers are a little bit, there's less of them out there right now.
What is the lowest that we got to?
It got to,
was it
condos, it got to about a 3 week supply.
Okay. 3 weeks.
For homes, it got to a 1 month supply.
Okay, got it. Got to a 1 month. And what are the homes right now?
It's 1.4.
1.4. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is a 40%. That's a 40% increase in homes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, everybody, listen. I hope that you appreciate the information. As you can see, I have not, Abe has not, and we will not say, you must sell right now or you're going to lose a lot of money. That's not our style. That's not even our belief, but that's not our style. We believe, our commitment is to empower the local consumer with the information necessary to make great financial decisions around your real estate holdings, whatever that may be, buy, sell, hold, whatever you do. We just hope that we could earn your business. If you're thinking of buying or selling, please reach out to us. Let us inform you as to what's going on. Let us advise you. There's our telephone numbers right there. If there's anything we can do to help you, we sure will. Any last words, Abe?
No, yeah, like you hit it right on the nose, Greg. Look, I never tell people they should sell or have to sell.
Yeah.
Each case is going to be unique. There's a lot of variables besides price. Price is one thing, but there's a lot of variables, whether you use the property or not, whether it's a long-term play. There's a lot of things, but you at least have to be informed. Yes. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to give us a call. Whether you sell or not, it doesn't matter. We just love to give you the information.
All right, man. Well, we will we'll continue to do these. We know there's a lot going on, a lot of changes going on in the economy and in the real estate markets. So you can count on us to continue to deliver this on a consistent basis. All right, Abe, thank you so much.
Thank you all for watching.